All right, hey folks, welcome to the runningrestaurants.com podcast, where we bring you the tips, tools, and techniques you need to make your restaurant more profitable and successful. I'm your host, Jaime Oikle. Got a great episode for you. Got Jordan Boesch, CEO of 7 Shifts. Jordan is a repeat guest, okay? And we recorded a great session a while back, and folks should absolutely find that episode on the site. It's episode 220. It's entitled, What Makes a Great Restaurant Culture? Jordan, that was a terrific episode. We covered a lot in that one. But we brought you back today because you guys did a great report recently that you put out called the Restaurant Workforce Management Report, released around the new year. And so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to focus on that. Tell me a little bit about how it comes together, and we'll dig in.
Awesome. Thanks for having me back, Jamie. Really excited to be here.
Awesome. Yeah. Tell me why you guys do this. What are you thinking? Like who digs in? How does it come together?
Yeah, I think part of what we do at Seven Shifts, just at a high level for folks that maybe don't know about us, we provide operators with a labor management platform, from hiring, training, scheduling, paying, and retaining. Obviously, folks mostly know us for scheduling, which is
Yeah.
one of our core products, and now branching into payroll. But what the reason wanted to give a little bit of background is because we deal with so many operators within our database of 50,000 restaurants.
Yeah.
And it's really important for us as we build product, as we try and help this industry and arm them with really great tools that can help them win. It's really important for us to understand how they're thinking. And really the best way to do that is to go into our base and pose those questions, at times go outside of our base, talk to industry leaders, whether they're CEOs of other restaurant brands or CEOs of other tech companies that are servicing restaurants. I think there's sort of a constellation of various individuals that help inform some of these reports. And really we want to be able to be the platform that can provide necessary information of what the best operators are doing and seeing, and what they're thinking about. And we want to provide that to our base of restaurant customers, because I think it's important that we raise the water for everyone if we can.
Yeah.
So that's what excites us, and that's why we do it.
Well, I will echo on two things. One, the report is easy to find on their website. If you land there, you'll find it pretty simple, and we'll give a link right in the podcast and so forth on the website, and you'll find it. But it's right there on the website, pretty easy to find. But overall, to echo Jordan's comments, they do a lot of extra stuff for the industry. There's blogs, there's reports, there's case studies and so forth. There's just a lot of content that does exactly what he says. They invest a lot to make sure that folks have the information they need. So I appreciate that. And we try to do some of that as well, but you guys do a terrific job as far as that goes. All right, I went through the report. It is terrific. There's a lot of key findings in there. Let's kind of walk through some of them. You start off with pointing that, hey, the industry's growing, but it's growing in different spots. What'd you see?
Yeah. So in terms of the industry growing, what's been exciting since the COVID days, obviously that was a very painful time for operators.
Mm-hmm.
But the restaurant industry added over 200,000 jobs in 2024. And QSR dining specifically has grown by 4%. But we also saw a little bit of a decline in the full service sector.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that what a lot of folks are saying as to why the QSR sector has been growing is, I think as COVID hit, we did see an uptick in folks doing delivery, more things that were a little more off-prem. And so definitely things are changing, but I think one thing's for sure, people still love eating in restaurants, and the job market is healthy and it's growing.
Yeah, we as a family, we got the three kids. Well, one's away at school now, so she just left. But I tell you, we eat out a tremendous amount, and I know we're not alone because every place we go seems to be busy. So when people say, "Hey, how's the economy doing?" I go, I don't know. Every restaurant I go to is really busy lately, and but definitely, I know we have shifted our spend to a lot more QSR just because it's fast and convenient and a little bit more budget friendly on the wallet than some other folks. So I think that trend is definitely where it's at. Hiring, big challenge, always a challenge for restaurants, continues to be a challenge. What do you guys see in the report?
Yeah, so this is not so different than reports that I had seen that were externally published, 3 years ago, where
Mm,
one of them, the name is escaping me, but it was like the number one challenge for 51% of restaurateurs was hiring.
mm,
And when we did this report, 30% of operators cited recruiting as their top challenge, while 27% pointed to retention as a top challenge. And if we look at the quality of applicants that we asked about when it came to hiring, it's about 39% of these operators say that it's better compared to the previous years. 38% didn't see a significant change. But I think that one thing's for sure, this is a problem and a challenge for operators that is just not going away, and it's largely gotten a little bit harder. Um, and when we asked folks to sort of characterize even how they're feeling about the labor market, about 65% of these operators characterized the market as tight or very
mm,
tight.
mhm.
And so I think what comes out of that is, how are people getting creative to attract the right people to their operation? Um, and I think more to even reference our report from 2024, how are people taking some of that information around what employees want
Mhm.
and thinking about incorporating that in their culture, in their hiring process, how they run their business? So I think there's still room to change here and to evolve and to grow from an operator perspective, but the data is sort of unchanged as it relates to the challenge within hiring.
Well, if you add those two together, right, the 30 recruiting and the 27 retention, that means that's a gigantic concern, because those are really obviously connected concerns. So people, they were saying over 50% of their concern is around people, and that is just a giant number. And again, I'll hint back to our previous episode 220. If you find it on the site, we talk a lot about that culture building opportunities to recruit and retain, and that's where a lot of opportunity exists. If you have the culture that brings people in and makes them want to stay, you don't have to fight the fight as strong as other people. And I know the report hinted at a few other ways to do that, and I see training and development as one of them. Have you seen other tips and tactics to strengthen those the pull and the magnet to stay?
Yeah, I think looking looking back around at even to reference the 2024 report just for a brief second here, flexibility remains that key
Mhm,
advantage for
mhm,
folks that are working in this sector. So I think that folks that can align with the availability needs of the workers and marry that to their business needs are going to come out on top. But it first comes back to understanding your business needs. You need to understand your business needs first, and then you can map the worker expectations against your business needs. And when I say understand that, I mean be able to forecast your labor, your sales, understanding when you ebb and flow. And I think there's obviously 7 shifts can help with that, but there's a
yeah.
number of other things that can help with that as well. Um, you mentioned training as a big one. Yes, employees do want in-person training, but I also think with that, they want to grow, they want to learn, they
Mhm,
want to adapt, and they want to get better at what they're doing. So I think in the process, be able to articulate what that growth trajectory could look like. What do you want to be? Do you have aspirations to become a chef? Okay, great. We'll start you, on the line here, and we're going to move you up. And if you perform, and here's what it means to perform. And so I think having that clarity, even in the interview process, is going to help operators hire better people, and people that align with what um, sort of have the same values as them as well. So
yeah.
training is very important, can't be understated. I think you can go down the list of things like, what types of benefits that does this restaurant provide, whether it's childcare, mental health support. Some restaurants do offer these things that are huge, huge wins for some of these employees working there. So I think a big part is sort of understanding, why do your people stay with you today? What is the reason they stay
Mhm,
here?
mhm.
And then maybe even thinking about more tactically, sort of reverse engineering those things and those qualities of why they stay, and use them to help attract that next bunch of folks that you want that are going to align with how you operate already. And look, maybe you need to make some improvements. Maybe your employees want certain things and maybe you can give on some, but you can't on others. But I think operators that are really putting a stake in the ground and saying, here's how we run our business, here are the benefits we provide, and here's what you're going to get out of working here,
Mhm.
and being really clear about it are the ones that are going to stay on top.
Yeah, I mean, I love everything you just said there, and you hinted at, section 3 in your report is some of those aspects of employees and what they're looking for, and you've already kind of touched on those. Healthcare starting to come into, 401ks are starting to drip into restaurants, and people like those benefits. But one of the reverse findings in that side was, I think it says here, 69% of respondents, still don't offer really anything in that bucket of category. There's no, like you said, no mental health support, no opportunities for childcare and all that. It's really something that hasn't creeped in deep into restaurants. Do you think it will down the road? Is there operational dollars to make those benefits that happen that are in a lot of traditional corporations? Do you think it'll get there?
I'm not. I think it's really dependent on. I think the mental health support is to some degree be table stakes and included in some level of benefits there, because
Mm,
I think that it's mental health is such a rampant issue within hospitality.
mm,
And I think that pair that with these workers that are sort of working clopen shifts around the clock, like it's a
mhm.
tough industry to work in, and one that doesn't pay a whole lot generally. And so I think if you're a smart operator, you understand the value of a worker and what they contribute to your business, and you want to retain them for as long as possible. So you know thinking about, again, I think it starts with understanding, are there folks that would benefit from mental health support in your own organization, and be able to start maybe in a small way offering that and seeing what types of responses you get. And I think that getting understanding the cost of something like this is important, but it's not always quantifiable out of the gate, right? You may offer some benefits like this and it will cost you as an employer. But what if it improves your retention by 3 times
Mhm.
or 4 times? Well, what's the cost of you having to go back on the market and hire another person every 3 months? It's costly. It's 3,500 to $5,000 to replace someone that leaves in the hospitality industry. So, what is it really worth to you to keep them for double, triple, maybe longer the amount of time if you offered some of these benefits? I think going through that exercise and really being thoughtful about that will hopefully give you a better understanding.
Yeah, yeah. Jordan, I'd be remiss to not point out that there's snow in the background of your beautiful, beautiful office location there. So, no, there's no snow here in Florida, but where you are, there's snow on the ground, and I know there is for a lot of folks coming soon. Snow is coming soon, but let's go to the fact that restaurants are paying more, right? I mean, the wages are obviously sneaking up everywhere. It's West Coast gigantic wage news. I think this year, or just, well, it continues to be the case. East Coast, same thing, and I think you point out in the South is a little bit lagging behind. But what are you seeing with wages? How are people dealing with it? It's creating a big dramatic change.
Yeah, I think from what we saw in our report and our findings, the wages went up sort of on average $13 an hour, some 64 cents to $14 an hour, 20 cents. Um, and so, you look at that, it's about 4% increase. Um, it, like part of this, it's good that it's increasing, but also like if you factor in inflation, like it's
Mhm.
not really increasing a whole lot. Like I think inflation was close to 3%, like 2 point something percent last year in the US. So I think that I think that we still have some work to do here. Um, Definitely not anything to, celebrate in a big way yet. But I think, look, there is some momentum. Some states are doing it, and regions are doing it better than others, that we had seen. Um, I think that I think we had like Cincinnati is as one of the sort of like growth. It's I think they grew their wages by like 7.37%
Hmm.
over the past year. Um, but and then you also had North Carolina wages were up 5%. So I think there's a few outliers where wages did increase. Um, but by and large, some of them didn't even keep up to inflation. So, San Antonio, Dallas, like it was like 1.5%. So I think there's still work to do as it relates to thinking about wages in the hospitality sector. Um, Ultimately, we all just want to make sure that businesses can thrive, employees are happy, they're paid fairly, and they want to work within the industry. And so I think that yeah, we've got more to figure out, certainly.
Yeah, and I just going back looking at the summary part that references the wages piece, and we talked about it in our previous episode and a little bit here today that people want more than just pay. They want a place that they believe in the mission. They want a place where they feel challenged. They also want a place where there's growth. And then you have those ancillary benefits like 401ks and healthcare, and those really can change people's decisions. And I know, for our family's case, starting a 401k 20 plus years ago and just putting a little bit of money in there has been one of the best things for us. That has grown dramatically over the years. And employee A may say, "Oh, I'm just starting that. What's the $100 a month going to do for me?" And it doesn't feel like anything, but those things really can benefit and compound. And adding those into the corporate structure of restaurants, I know is a challenge, but if we can get there and help people grow, their resources over time, I think that's an important benefit. And I'm sure that's part of what you guys do at your company. A lot of companies do it. Um, I don't know that it's going to make its way into restaurants today or tomorrow in a big way. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we're seeing it in some restaurants. I think it depends on and it depends on to what degree, but certainly the ones that are incorporating some of these benefits, like 401k, that allows you to sort of like even like sort of transfer it between your workplace, which is pretty helpful. Um, just given turnover in the space. So I think that we are seeing some folks doing that, and I would expect that that becomes a bigger competitive advantage over time. Now, how fast is that going to be
Go ahead.
adopted? Probably another question that I don't know the answer to. But given the hospitality industry and the speed that it moves, probably not fast enough. Um, but I do think it's the operators that are standing up and talking about that and touting it are definitely not having the same challenges that others are having when it comes to hiring.
Yeah, good. I think my wife I kicked out there a little bit, so hopefully I didn't blow people up too much there. Um, Tipping. Oh my gosh. Everywhere I go, I'll just give me a phone. Hey, so let me turn this around. Can you give me a tip? Let me turn this around. Can you give me a tip? It's gotten so wild over the last little stretch where we're used to obviously sitting down at a restaurant and giving a tip, sometimes at a coffee shop, etc. The word tipping culture has crossed a lot of media, and it feels like everybody wants a tip everywhere. Did you guys specifically report on that aspect of it, or just tipping in general? What do you think?
Yeah, we asked about how tipping has evolved for some of these operators
Hmm.
and if they've made any changes to their tipping algorithms or models. 63% of operators said that they have not changed their tipping models. They've
Hmm.
stayed the same. Um, but I think one thing's true that really stood out was, employees are much more knowledgeable and interested around how the money gets to them and wanting more of that transparency. So they're looking on their stubs, looking for discrepancies. Through the Seven Shifts app, we do tip payouts. So we
Hmm.
send the tips directly to the worker bank account so that they can see it all through the app, whether it's on payroll or
Okay,
through their directly. So
nice.
we've gotten a lot personally as a company. We've got a lot of great feedback around that level of transparency around it. But I think we're just seeing more of it. Like it's not something that's I would anticipate going away. Um, I personally am getting for tips on a bunch of things that I've never been asked to tip for.
Hmm.
When I get like I'm getting a smoothie or something, or I'm getting a coffee, like there's
Yeah.
there's just a variety of things that I've in an establishment that I'd visit, and now they're asking for tips. So it's a bit anecdotal, but I would assume that that's prevalent in most places now.
Yeah, exactly. It is, and it's yeah, and you want to do that. You don't want to be the one that doesn't tip, but when it's everywhere, you're kind of like, what's going on here? But I think we'll continue to monitor that one, see where it goes, and see where the level of consumer acceptance settles into. Let's go to really your wheelhouse. You guys are in the tech space, and a big part of your finding was restaurants continuing to invest in technology to make it easier. Even the thing you just pointed out about tip management and the transparency there, that's a big change that didn't exist, X number of years ago. What else are you seeing in tech? What are people looking to dip their toes into that they're not already in, and what's coming down the pike?
Yeah, so I was actually shocked when we asked operators this question, which
Mm,
was, how many of you are adopting new technology to improve efficiency, labor challenges, payroll, tip management, all that, all the good stuff. Um, it was something like 65% of restaurants adopt some level of this type of technology within the past year, which is which is great. Um, Although the other folks, 27% still manage schedules on paper and
mm,
23% still manage it on Excel.
mm,
So um, there's still some room to go, right? There's a big chunk here um, that that are still managing it in other ways from just a pure scheduling perspective, not a generic holistic tech adoption perspective. But we are seeing a positive momentum and change in folks moving towards using some tools like this. And I think even as it relates to attracting uh, workers and attracting managers, and managers are going to want to use tools to help them manage their teams. And if they're accountable for hitting labor numbers and sales goals, like how are they supposed to benchmark themselves against that if they don't have technology to do that? So we're seeing a big uptick in that. We're also seeing more folks move from sort of just point solutions to more connected platforms. So
mhm,
in our
mhm,
case, since we do more of the broader HR platform, we are seeing folks that buying, payroll from us uh, that have been previous scheduling customers. So attaching more of that workflow to try and make things more streamlined and easy for them. And I don't think that's a trend that's going to slow down. People want
right.
less technology. They want more streamlined integrations when it is a separate piece of technology, and they want it to be easy, and they just want it to get out of the way and have it done for them. And I think that the companies that can build those connection points and streamline all of those pieces really well are gonna have a leg up.
Yeah, yeah, I think you guys are in a really good spot as it relates to that. And I'm looking at the chart, the bar chart that you have in the report, and yeah, scheduling software, the payroll type stuff is in there. Performance management tools, which is maybe like that dashboard stuff. Give me the data type stuff. People are looking for train. It was good to see training was highlighted by a number of people. Almost 30% of folks
Mhm.
reference training. It says 32 said nothing. They didn't do anything, which is surprising that you're not didn't find anything to do. So I think there's so many opportunities inside of the technology stuff you guys do and other folks do, because restaurants are fighting for pennies now, And so if you want to go from 5% to 10%, you're not going to do it magically. You're going to probably have to find technology to find those extra pieces of your margin. It's not going to appear by
Exactly.
itself. I don't think. And one of the other parts you did in the report that was neat. You got kind of some other tidbits from operators. One of them I thought was interesting. You said, well, it reports that a lot of folks are looking for jobs closer to home. I found that interesting. What'd you see there?
Yeah. So as it relates to this one, I think this one this one didn't surprise me as much.
Mm.
And the reason it didn't was, look, I think like a lot of these workers, like some of them don't have cars.
Yeah.
And And I think that that commute time is just painful. And I think when the pandemic hit and people working from home, they really started to go like, well, I don't want that commute time back. Like that was an hour out of my day one way. So 2 hours, two
Mhm.
ways where I could have been more productive and done the things I need to do. And so you're not getting paid to commute. And I think that it makes sense for a lot of these folks to look at opportunities that are closer by so they can walk, they can ride their bike, different ways to get there. So you can have more productivity in your day overall.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Good finding there. And then the other one I thought was interesting. Folks seem to be taking more of what you reference here, pulse checks, kind of employee surveys to figure out what their people are thinking and feeling. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, so the one you're referencing is we had this from a restaurant customer of ours called Gusto with
Hmm.
14 locations. Um, Danielle, who's one of the managers there, said if we see people are leaving around the 6 month mark, we'd implement a 120-day survey to get a pulse on how they're feeling and take a more data-driven approach on retention. So this is an example of just being more proactive around how folks are doing. Restaurants are changing all the time, and they're putting in different practices, or they're hiring different people, and so certain things start to shift and feel different. And I think it's really important for operators that are maybe not on the ground level every day are keeping a pulse on this. So again, I think the more you can pulse into your workers and understand how they're feeling, what their needs are, the better. Some of these folks do this through the Seven Shifts product, through the shift feedback tool,
Hmm.
where we prompt them after their shift to ask them how it was, and they just kind of select a happy face, sad face, rate some comments.
Yeah.
But I think whether or not you use technology to do that, or I've even talked to an operator who just asks his employees to write things on a piece of paper. They can drop it in a box. It can be either anonymous or they can write their names on it. It doesn't matter. What matters is that that feedback makes its way to the operators so that they can actually action it.
Yeah, the good old feedback Dropbox to look at. It's always a good idea. Anything we didn't hit on in the report that you want to highlight? Anything looking forward ahead into 2025 you want to yap about? What do you think?
Yeah, I think like, it's something as we even approach 2025 as a company, I feel very optimistic and excited about some of the things we're doing for operators. But
Mhm.
as it relates to the report, it sounds like restaurant operators feel a similar way. 67% of managers were optimistic about what 2025 holds for the industry, and so a bunch of them see opportunities to whether change to offer certain benefits to their workers, exciting changes they want to make around how they attract people, and so I thought that that was a really exciting thing to hear that nearly 7 out of 10 operators or managers are actually optimistic about this year. So makes me even more optimistic.
Excellent. I was just looking for our last website. Of course, my website's being funny as I do this, but we'll kind of close in saying this. You gave a number of good book recommendations in that last episode, and we even carved out yours and some other folks and did a mashup of book recommendations. But I will say that was 4 or 5 months ago now. What's anything new that you're reading? What's on the bookshelf now?
Oh man, I'm reading I'm reading this so I'm reading Extremely Hardcore. It's the Elon Musk taking over Twitter story,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
more just kind of like a crazy drama story that's a real life story that I wanted to understand a little bit better. And then the other one that I'm going to start shortly after that is more the Steve Jobs biography.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm reading right now.
Are you going to do the Walter Isaacson version of Steve Jobs? Yeah.
That's the one I have. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't listen to stuff, but I listened to that one a couple of years ago. It's terrific. But I just picked up Isaacson's version of Musk, so we kind of have a weird. You're reading Musk
Oh,
about that version of the Twitter, and I just picked up
yep.
Walter Isaacson's biography of Musk, and I just started that. So I'm looking forward to digging into that. Already, I was like, holy cow, he had a really interesting background. So growing up, so Interesting stuff. All right. So tell them where to find the report. Give them the website, any socials, anything else you want to share?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find the report. You can go to sevenshifts.com on our blog, the 2025 report. You should be at the top there. You can also Google Seven Shifts 2025 report. You should find it. And yeah, if sign up for we've got an offer right now for payroll. If folks want to try that out as well to connect more of their workflows with scheduling. So again, sign up at sevenshifts.com for that as well.
Perfect. Perfect. Always good, Jordan. That was Jordan Boesch of Seven Shifts. You can find them on the web at sevenshifts.com. For more great restaurant marketing and service people, technology tips, and more, tune in to us here at runningrestaurants.com. In the meantime, please do me a favor where if you listen to this or watching it, hit the like button, hit a subscribe or review us and rate us. That stuff helps spread the word, and we do appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Jordan.
Thanks, Jamie.